Hello everyone, this is Loomaniac, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this gorgeous new Gladioli bracelet. And this is not my design, this is by @simply_love_loom on Instagram, and that looks like this. So you should definitely give her a follow, she's super awesome, and if you watched my last tutorial for the Lanacera bracelet, that was also by her, so she just has all these awesome designs, and I'm so excited that I get to do the tutorials for them. So, this is made on 2 looms, and I made this one on 1 loom length, and it's not a full wrap, as you can see. It just goes about halfway around, so, but that's what some of you guys like with the extensions, but I personally prefer full wrap, so I did this one on, like, almost 2 full loom lengths. It was, like, 2 bar pin, or, like 22 bar pins high or something. So, anyway, it's really pretty, and I would call it a reversible design probably because I think it looks gorgeous on both sides, so, as you can see. So, for this, as I mentioned, you need 2 looms and about 132 bands. So, today I'm going to be using the Sweets Pink and the neon green or lime green, not sure what it's called, and white pearl, and the deep purple opaque. So I'm hoping that all of these band colors will stand out from both my loom and my white background so you guys can follow along easier. So, without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to place my perimeter bands as the pearls, and so you're going to go from your first to your second pin and just lay 2 bands straight forward. Just like so. And next we are going to lay the rest of our perimeter bands. You're going to go off to the side here, and then once more. And now you're going to start a zigzag up as the perimeter. So I'm trying to separate my pearls each time. They're kind of sticky, so they tend to stick together. So you're just placing your zigzag up the left side of the loom. And pearls might not have been the absolute best choice for the tutorial, but it'll work. I know it'll look pretty, so. Just 1 band at a time, all the way up. And you'll see pretty soon that this bracelet's really unique. It has some awesome different band placement, and I just really love it, so I hope you guys do too. So now once you go in on this pin here, so you're going to be 1 pin from the top, then you're just going to go in to the center pin. So you just kind of complete that shape. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. And so, as long as you guys have the hang of it, you're going to do that same thing on this side, and I will be back in just a moment. Okay, I'm back, and I've just placed all my perimeter bands, and as you can see, they meet up at the top. And our next step is to place your bee-colored bands, and I'm going to use my deep purple bands, and you are simply going to place a band right across here. So, if you kind of look at each one of these as like the top of a triangle, you know, you're going to place this on the top one of each. So you're pretty much just going like, so here's my triangle, you're placing it on the top side there. So that's probably not the most simple way to explain it, but that's kind of how I see it whenever I make the bracelet. I see them as little triangles. But however you want to do that, you're just placing it from each pin on this left side up into the right. Finally on the last one, just like this, you go up all of them. And now we're going to do the same thing on the right side. So this is a really easy step, but I love the way Simply Love Loom came up with the looping for this. It's super cool. So Just keep placing those bands all the way up the right. Okay, so now I've placed them up both sides, and our next step is to start placing bands in the center. So you're going to take your third color, which for me is the Pink Sweets, and you are going to place your first one up from this second to left bar pin and up a pin. So it'll be like this. And now you place one from the second pin up to the third pin and up to the middle. So you're pretty much just placing these 3 little bands here. And now you are going to go up to the next pin, so this one here, and then you come down and out to the right. And as you can see, they join together here, and so you're just going to continue doing this all the way up, and make sure that you stay with that pattern, because if you switch it up and place like the right side first, then you'll be mixed up for the looping. So be careful with that. It goes left, middle, right. So just continue placing those all the way up. And again, these sweets like to stick together too. Love that band collection, but unfortunately they are kind of sticky. Okay, so you're going to finish up that all the way until you get to the top, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so now I've placed my center bands all the way up, and I hadn't planned on pausing for that part. I was going to do all of this with you guys, but of course, while I'm in the middle of a tutorial, I have a phone call, so it always ends up happening that way, so sorry about that, guys, but hopefully you finished that good, and see, you just come up to the top, so these bands are going to be overlapping your perimeter bands. So you have them placed all the way up the top, and now we can start the next step. So you are going to take your, well, if you're doing more than 3 colors, then you can take your next color, but I'm only using 3, which is what I did for these bracelets here. So the next color you're going to be placing is this teal color here, and so it will be the same as the teal I have here is the same that these dark purple are. So I'm sorry I forgot to mention that, but so now you're placing the inner teal colors, which I'm going to be using my purple, and you are just placing them from this pin here up into the middle. So you're pretty much just overlapping the left and right bands that you just placed. It's pretty much just arrows, and you go all the way up, left and right. Sorry if my hands get in the way of the camera. I'm trying to keep them out of the way, but it's kind of hard to hold the loom down sometimes whenever the camera's right there. Okay. Then we place our final ones over where our last pink bands are. So you have your, on this last set, you have your perimeter bands, and then your center bands, and your bands we just placed. So, kind of band heavy there. Okay. So now, I would recommend pushing your bands down, just so that we can, because we just have to place a couple more steps here, and you want your bands to kind of be pushed down, especially on these 3 middle pegs. So just, okay. Good enough. You guys can, I won't bore you with making you watch me push down all my bands, so, okay. Let's move on to the next step. So next you are going to place your cap bands all the way up the middle pins. So you're going to be placing your perimeter colored band is what I like to use, but of course you can use any bands for those. But as you can see on this bracelet, there's kind of that hint of yellow in the center, and I think that looks really pretty. So that's what I'm going to be doing, using my green. And you're just going to place it over each middle pin. And since watching cap bands is boring, I will pause and come back to you as soon as I place them up every pin in the middle. Okay, so I've just placed my cap bands all the way up the middle, including this very last pin, and we have one more step before we're ready to loop. So that's going to be placing just bands straight across these middle 3 pins, but I was going to show you in the bracelet, but you can't really see them, so I'm going to be using my sweets, and you're going to start on this pin, these 2 pins here, on either side of the center, and you are just going straight across, so it should look like that. And you're just going to continue going up all of these pins, placing your band across. That band's kind of flimsy, I'm going to replace it. Okay. And you're just going up the entire loom, and this is why I said you might want to push down those bands there so you can fit everything that needs to go on them. And on the last one. So you should have them placed all the way up. And now we are ready to loop. So you're going to flip your loom around. And we are going to grab our hook. I'm using my purple crochet hook today. So we're going to start in this cap band here. And you're going to pull back your, well, for me it's deep purple. So it'll just be that very top one whenever you reach into the cap band. Kind of make sure you hold that cap band down. And you're just going to pull it straight up. Or I'm sorry, you're going to pull it to the pin ahead of it. So not back to itself, but up a pin. Sorry about that, guys. Grab it again. There are a lot of bands, so you got to kind of carefully separate them on this part. And instead of pulling it back to itself, you pull it up a pin ahead. And now go into this cap band, pull it a pin ahead of where it's actually coming from. And again, you're just grabbing the top band from that, in that cap band. Into the next cap band. You're pulling it up and out. And I'm trying to get used to my crochet hook again because this is what I used before Rainbow Loom came out with their metal tipped hook. And I've gotten so used to metal tipped hook, I practically can't use anything else. But I just lost a metal tipped hook, so I'm sad. But I'll have to get a new one next time I make a trip to Michael's. Okay, and pull it up. And you're just continuing this all the way up. And remember, you're not pulling it onto the pin that it came from, you're pulling it a pin ahead. And you might need to kind of push down the bands a little bit before you loop it over. So, and I had a band break, so I'm going to pause and you guys can finish up looping and I'll be right back after I replace that. Okay guys, I'm back after I fixed that band, and so you may be wondering how you loop this very last set of purple bands that we have here, and you aren't, because if you're going to loop them up, they'd have to go up to here, and all you're going to do is you're going to go into this last cap band, and you're going to grab it, and just pull it straight ahead of it, so to this band, or to this pin at the end. So grab it, and pull it up here, so it should look like this. Just like that. Okay, and so now we're going back down to the bottom of our cap bands, and the next step is to go back through the cap band and just grab the band on top and bring it to itself. So no weird looping on this one, we're just bringing it straight back onto itself. And as you can see, I switched to my rainbow loom hook because I can no longer use the crochet hook. Whenever you get used to one hook for so long and you've made so many bracelets with it, it's hard to switch. So just loop out the top bands through each cap band. So you should loop out 3 from each cap band. Just bring them onto themselves. Okay, and so now we're in the very last cap band, and you just do the same thing. Just pull it back to where it goes. And now we can move on to our next step of looping, which is these purple outer bands. So you're going to go in through all of the bands until you get to that purple band. So you're just going to grab that band. But instead of pulling it back onto itself, you're pulling it up. So go through, grab it, and pull it up to the pin ahead. So as I mentioned, there is a lot of unique looping in this bracelet, and that's what I love so much about it. And this is just another example of that unique looping. I love when designs don't just simply pull the band back over onto itself whenever it's, more than that, and you loop it in different ways. Pull that last one. And now you're just going to start here and do that same thing on the other side, but I am going to finish that off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, so once you have all of these bands pulled from your pins and forward, and they should be going all the way up. Now our last step is just to loop out the perimeter bands. So you go into this cap band here, grab the top band, and just pull it over onto itself. And there are a lot of bands there, so you gotta kind of might want to push them down before you go to this step. So just do that real quick. And you just need to push them down on these 2 pins here that I'm doing. Okay. And now we can continue that looping. So now you go into here and pull it over to the left. And now you just go up on the zigzag. So just loop out all these zigzag bands. Pretty simple step. So once you loop that last zigzag band, you just pull it straight into the middle here. And now you can do that same thing on the right, but to keep the video short, I am going to pause and come back to you guys in just a couple moments. Okay guys, so all of our perimeter bands on the right side are looped. And now we're just going to go into this last pin, and I'll show you a side angle of it. And you're just going to push back all of these bands except for the bottom two, and you're going to pull them forward. So that's pretty much just the start of your extension, and it kind of makes it stronger using those two bands so it has more support. And now what I like to do is take one band and bring it through this so that it can fit into my C-clip better. And you just take a C-clip or an S-clip, whatever you prefer, and hook it on. So a lot of people just grab it now and they pull it off. I don't like doing that. I like taking it off slowly, so take it off one pin at a time. And that's boring to watch me do, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I just got it all the way off my loom, and wow, I love it. I love these colors I chose, and it's super awesome. You can just kind of stretch it, and sometimes whenever you use the pearl bands or specialty bands, you kind of have to stretch it a little bit extra to get it to lay just perfectly, but I think it looks awesome. So, I hope that everyone enjoyed this tutorial, and remember to follow me on Instagram at Loomaniac, Loomaniac, and also definitely follow the designer at simply_love_loom. And if you make this bracelet, please post it to Instagram and tag both me and Simply Love Loom. And that's pretty much it, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Bye.